I'm very good. Thank you, Scott. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A. A couple things real quick. I want to make sure that you guys can see my desktop. So if you wouldn't mind typing into the question panel that you can see my desktop, also that you can hear me okay. Perfect. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it, Jeff. All right, guys. Well, that's great. So let's get started. I don't have a real solid presentation for you guys today, but it's a Q&A, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the application. I'm going to show you what we've been working on lately, kind of some of the new bits of functionality that we're bringing to market, but I'm going to leave this to you guys to direct me. Any questions that you have, fire them off in the question panel, and I'll get to those. Let me start off with a little bit of housekeeping, a little disclaimer. We are not a registered investment advisor, so any of the stocks that I talk about here today should not be construed as investment advice. If you're looking for that, please seek out a registered investment advisor. They take into consideration your account, your risk threshold, and all that good stuff. All right. I don't know if this is a slide I want to talk about yet, but we do have a free trading room that we encourage everybody to visit. It's an opportunity to see how real traders, successful traders, utilize our technology throughout the trading day, and they call out live trades. Share the windows, share any of the strategies that you may see. So it's a nice interactive group session. Several hundred people are in there. It's a meritocracy, so all the people that are calling out the good, interesting trades are, they're all notified. You notice that, and it all comes to the top. So, all right, let's get right into the software today, because I just want to kind of show you the software, take you on a tour of it. I've got the latest development version here, so I may have some bugs, but there's a lot of really good stuff that we're adding to the chart. So first of all, I'm
here, by the way.
There's my buddy. Hey, Dan, how are you, man?
How are you? Do you know, Brad, we got just a slight miscommunication, most likely completely all my fault, but I just didn't. I thought for some reason we were skipping today.
Yeah, we're actually skipping next Wednesday, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So,
well, see, then everybody knows that I'm not an actual superhero, but a real human presenter.
Well, fantastic. So I'm just giving a little high-level tour of Trade Ideas right now. This is our flagship product. This is Trade Ideas Pro. Really kind of going to take you on a little tour of some of the channels that we've put together. We've really made it easy for people to get started with the tool. And we've been doing this for 14 years, so there's some incredible functionality that we've built into it. From alert windows, top lists, multi-strategy, charting, price alerts, back testing, and we've built all that into a platform. But we made it really easy for people to get started by utilizing our channel bar, kind of our Netflix remote control to the market, if you will. It's this little guy right over here on the left, and if you scroll down, you can see all these different themes that we put together, and we've utilized our expertise to put these different windows into a theme. Like, for instance, I'll just throw over to the metals channel right here, where I've got a couple different windows, but they're all focused in this particular sector of metals. We've got mining, and these windows, there's different types of windows. There's windows that present lists of opportunities to you, and then there's other windows that present actionable events that are happening in real time. This window up here, this multi-strategy window, it's one of those event-based windows. When something abnormal happens, or when something specific to that strategy happens, it's going to fire off in that window. And as a user, you just click on that, you take a look at the analytics that we put together for you, and then make a trading decision. We've even gone so far as to create an add-on to our Trade Ideas Pro module called Brokerage Plus. Brokerage Plus not only allows you to automate strategies that you put together, but it also allows you to trade these directly from the interface. Right now, we're integrated with Interactive Brokers, so that's our brokerage of choice when you're utilizing Brokerage Plus, but we do anticipate that we're going to be expanding that on into the future.
Hey, Brad, I was wondering if maybe, again, because you and I were working on so many things, and again, I wasn't here for the very first intro, so I don't know the breakdown of TI Pro to non-TI Pro, but man, it seems like what a good opportunity to pop in a little web, or because everyone has seen so much of this, but maybe if we can show them more of the fact that we're breaking out of the download barrier too. And it seemed to me like it was at that point where it really could be shown. But again, maybe I'm jumping the gun.
You're jumping, but it's cool. I mean, it's something that I was definitely going to show. Let me pop it in here. And super proud of this because, we have a very robust application, and we're trying to port that robustness right into our dynamic HTML5 application.
Well, what I'm like, Brad, can I give you my cloud link for the demo?
Yeah, go right ahead, bud.
Well, you kind of start, and then I'll give it to you in just 1 second here.
So what you see is you actually see an incredible similar type of interface. I'm just bringing my browser right over the application right here. So you can see right here, this HTML5 version of Trade Ideas Pro looks very, very similar. It has access to the channel bar. I want to move over to the social media channel and see what stocks are being talked about more than normal. I can do that. It's a nice thing. One of the things that we do with data is it's exceptionally special because, like on this social media channel, we're looking at the social media activity. When stocks are being talked about on social media, we know what's normal and we know what's abnormal behavior. And we do that with all different metrics throughout our platform. So whether you're looking at social behavior or volume or price action on different time frames, our ability to know what's normal gives us the ability to deliver very unique, actionable ideas to you.
Hopefully, Brad, this will be a link that showcases, again, make your window a little wider before you even paste that in, because your whole window, I think might want to be a little wider. Yeah, because what I want to do is show people like how gnarly it can be. If you really want to let the software do some of its things, look at this. I mean, what you've got here is fairly comparable features in a full browser-based version that you would have in a C# version. And of course here, Brad, you can pop into the AI, and then now you kind of got that thing that we had been talking about before, which is the best of both worlds. You've got your custom windows that you've been setting up from whatever trade ideas thing that that you're doing right now, right? So this is the one that's going to find you your movers, whether it's the CHFS, of course, or some of the other ones that are in there, like LEDS was insane today, as you know. And that will combine with the fact that now you will never miss the AI trades at the same time. And imagine this. I mean, if you're at work, you can have this on an iPad and have maybe like your interactive brokerage or your Robinhood app on one iPad application, this, and swipe over and then trade it. Of course, we're going to offer all of that stuff soon ourselves, but you get the point, right?
Oh, I definitely get the point. I mean, this is really a very dynamic application, with these free-floating windows that we have to the side of this channel, and this channel is a single floating window here with all these different options that you can go ahead and populate it with. What's gapping up and what's moving pre-market, what stocks are moving on unusual volume.
So when you look at our technology, Brad, I keep thinking about how, if you do me a favor, bring up the C# version of TI Pro and bring up one large chart. I just want to show, because again, we're going to switch back and forth, because I want to talk a little about philosophically also what we're doing. Yeah, just expand one of the daily.
You want this to be full size?
Yeah, just full size, just so that people can kind of see. Start kind of imagining what can happen when you're in something that moves in your direction. I mean, look at the stock below 10, in the first buy signal in February, right? And then fast forward to a year. I mean, you were talking about even here, you're still at 50% at where it is today after whatever, but look at how far it went. This is what we talk about in terms of outsized returns. But Brad, this only caught my attention because you had it up. Bring up SORL. So this again points to what people do not understand, and yet, of course, is ultimately the opportunity of the investing world, which is information is processed not in a systemic way, but kind of an erratic way. So notice again, the first time the AI caught this stock, it kind of got conscious of it on the left, it caught 3 pretty good solid upward thrusts that then very shortly later led to a continuation. And you can see that going from September to November. But then this company, this stock, kind of stalled and it petered out and it declined, and it really had quite a bit of a pullback all the way to February, Brad, as you can see. Then
right.
What happens in March? The AI, having studied all of this information, once again gets in, and here it's starting again. It's getting in, catches this move, catches it again on the third time right here. But of course, this is where the whole understanding that you have to know that there is no system that can do perfection in terms of overall timing, because as soon as you leave the event of the entry, all sorts of things come into play. The future is unknown. But the point I'm making, Brad, is look at the amount of up and down together, that if you missed it here, that like if you had missed it, let's say in May at $4, look at where it is in October. It went all the way from 9 back down to 4, and look at where it is now again.
Yeah, a lot of action in that stock, huh?
That is the whole notion of being able to tap outsized returns. And look at, like, our AI is trying to give you this play by play, and I'm sure that if Sorrel Auto Parts breaks out completely, the AI will totally catch it. But again, my point being there is not only do you have it now in this way, but do me a favor, Brad, add this one to the stocks that you like, and let's talk about that and why you did it. So this is kind of a new innovation that we brought to Trade Ideas, since I think this is one of the things that, again, is going to be very understated and overutilized by people, hopefully. Let's talk about what this does.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So this is what we call a liked symbol now that I have selected it here. Again, I'm on the dev version, so this would work a little differently on yours. These would both be highlighted. But what happens when you heart a stock? There are a couple things that happen. It gets added to your My Liked symbol list. And you can do a variety of things with that My Liked symbol list. First of all, we've built a channel off of that. So you can just go right to the channel, and this is going to display the stocks that you have liked. And this is what we think of a kind of like a short-term notification of a symbol or a group of symbols. We have a variety of ways to save a symbol list, but this is something that kind of stays at the top of your awareness for the day or a couple days, however you best use it. But once you do that, once you go to this channel, you could say, grab this window right here, this My Liked window. I'll close this other one that I have, and you can pin it. And once you pin it, this allows it to remain on your desktop when you go and peruse other channels. So now I'm going to the Alpha Predator channel. I'm looking at stocks that are pertaining to that type of activity, but I still have my liked symbols here. And this allows me, this is going to be updating throughout the day. I can sort on these different columns just like I do for any other top list. And then I can just simply click on a symbol, look at it, and stay abreast of it. Using this in combination with our price alerts, I mean, I think it's such a 1-2 punch that allows me not to miss anything.
It's the price alerts, and the fact that that aggregated together makes it very difficult for you to ever miss anything, ever. Imagine being in that situation. This is the proper way to view the market. And whoever is selling you something else, well, they are selling you something else. The market is dynamic. It is full of opportunities. They're both to the upside. There's both to the downside. And the beauty of not being attached to any one direction is you go into the path of the statistics. Brad, if you can hit the AI real quick again. And one of the things that, that really struck me today is if you look at the percentage returns, first of all, let's look at the VRS trade. Let's just kind of glance at what we saw. So one of the things that,
right there.
What?
That's a stressless trade.
Well, it's stressless for a number of reasons, but one of the things that people often talk to us, well, they say, hey, Dan, if I have the AI, well, what if I miss the signal? Well, we say, listen, it's possible that sometimes the signal does not work out instantly. In other words, again, you have to understand that, think about the nature of the universe and physics and all these things. I mean, we're trying to do the best you can with science, but my goodness, you cannot, you know, bullseye every single trade. Here, it just happened to have formed basically like an hour after you got in risk on mode, and never really stopped from that point forward. And the fact that you have a system here that is hunting, promising, and then delivering things like a 12% gain or a 9% or a 6, and then a 4 and a 2, and again, of course, not perfect. There are losses, but on a basis points comparison, there's no comparison. The future of investing has shifted. It has shifted from a fundamentally pure company analysis to a price action information flow analysis, which incorporates all of that together. It's a fusion. And we are the only firm that has an AI that's looking at this fused fundamental, technical, and social data together and looking at the statistical opportunities to exploit for outsized returns. Now that this is here, the way that you see it with our web-based product, Brad, if you can. We've crossed a lot of hurdles by giving you an ability to leave your office, go on vacation, still be involved in the market if you want to. Although, by the way, Brad, personally, I hate it when people do that kind of stuff, because if you're on vacation, you should be on vacation. But, you know, if you're just desperate, what is that, Brad? That was crazy. Why? No wonder the action is heating up right now.
Yeah, big move today.
Well, I would, how are we on the questions, by the way?
I think there are a couple here that I haven't been able to get to yet. So there was a question here regarding studies on the charts. And I do have a dev version. It's not publicly available yet, but it is to a point where we're getting ready to add indicators onto the chart. So I would anticipate in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will have a public beta of that functionality. We do see VWAP as a study that we'll be adding as well.
Yeah.
Also another question on pinning, and I'm not sure what that question was, but just the way that pinning works, it's really important that you understand the functionality involved here, because if you happen to have a window pinned and you save that layout and you reload that layout on top of this one, you're going to have multiple windows. So it's just really important that you understand which windows in your workspace are pinned and which ones are not. And it's just really easy. If you want to unpin a window, you can do that. And it's unpinned.
In the near future, Brad, I could see us having some sort of like a P somewhere, right? That makes it easier to know that windows are pinned or not.
Yeah, I think there is something that we can do here that'll make it a little bit easier to see that.
And we are constantly working on improving everything.
All right, so Wilson's asking a question on short float, and he's asking if that data changes in real time. And while most of the data, well, actually all the data is real time, that particular data point is only updated 2 times a month by the exchange. So I think it's on the 15th and the 29th or the 30th when those data points get updated in our database.
Let me answer Dennis's question, okay? Because I think it's a good question. And do me a favor, Brad. Close all the extemporaneous windows up, move the web, like let's just go back to just the simple Trade Ideas Pro, no price alerts, nothing. Get rid of all that stuff. So it's not visible, no my like, nothing. And let's start with the pre-market. Okay, Dennis, are you with me? So, of course, there is the video of getting started, but here's the pre-market. So how do people, this is a great question, how do people interact with trade ideas. So here, imagine the market has not started, so it's tomorrow morning, and you're on this channel. So we expect it for you to interact with it almost like Netflix. And from that point of view, it should be intuitive. So here you are on pre-market. You're going to see in the lower left-hand side what's gapping up, and then you can see what's gapping down. So as you're going through this and looking at the stocks, you can see, like, look at Mosey, for example. Brad, go back to that real quick. One of the first things that you might notice is, Brad, you don't have Mosey. It's something that you have liked, and it's been my like stocks. So there's something that you did in the pre-market. So again, just an example. Okay, you're making some notes now. We're going to flash forward. Magically, the market turns on. Now you have some options. Where should you go? My suggestion is, if you're new, start on the social media channel. Why am I saying this? Okay, social media channel is something that is kind of an interesting and a unique function of both price action and other forces that are pushing on the stock. So in this case, these stocks are, number one, exhibiting interesting price action, and they are also being mentioned a lot on social media. Dennis, and again, I'm repeating Dennis's name, but this applies to everyone. There's something that's already happening that I want you to notice that Brad's doing it. God, Brad is the best guy. Brad, you just did, stop moving. But yeah, exactly. Look at Brad's mouse. Brad's mouse is away from the computer, and watch what the computer is doing. It is taking you through all the options. So Dennis, you don't even have to do anything at first. The computer is saying, hey, here's some downside action. Let me show you all the downside. Take a look. And by the way, now this one you can be like, oh wow, look at this gap down. Maybe I'll, heart it, or I'll like it, because it might turn around. This one you didn't like, now you're going to go back. Yeah, boom. Now you like it. And then it's going to, so there you go. Brad's going to make a notation. So, and again, see, it's supposed to be easy. Notice, like, there's no like calculus. You're just kind of going like, oh, okay, now I have a notation. That's it.
I put that price alert right here on my daily, right, where I thought it would be a nice place to break out. And you can see how it took it over to the intraday and it put it in that right spot. I could say, well, maybe I want to wait until it gets here to be notified, and everything else updates accordingly.
That's right. Okay, so now you're on the social media channel, and remember, this applies to everybody. The whole point here, guys, is don't be spending all of your time fiddling and diddling with the software, meaning like trying to figure out how to do Windows. We are experts, and we have done it for you. So every channel by itself is designed to be like a Ferrari, and the Ferrari is made by Italian engineers who know a thing or two about making cars, just like Tesla knows something about making electric cars, and Trade Ideas knows something about efficiency of market data processing and how to display that information to you and why it would be interesting. So notice again, on the right-hand side, you have that single stock window where you can quickly like summarize everything that's going on. Does this company have cash? Like the things that you need to make a quick decision. Okay, they've got cash. There's, what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. Very quick, and you can do it. So now I would then switch from social media, Brad. I would then go to Alpha Predator. What you're going to find is, as you've taken some notes on the social media channel, you'll probably see that some of these stocks, like look at CHFS, for example, would be one that, especially with the kind of volume that it's trading, is something that's happening. You're going to see it in lots of different channels, as well as LEDS and some of the other ones. So now you start to get an idea. Oh, look at this. This one's on this channel, on that channel, and on this channel. There's a lot of interest in this one. And again, that helps you get to the point of understanding how to just process information and then see if you can quickly get to a decision. Now look at this one, ROSG. Hit the heart on that, Brad, real quick, and say to yourself, okay, see this green dot? What if that turns into something? So let's put an alert at $1. That's the whole number. And forget about it. That's it. So now we caught, we threw our little fishing net out, and now we're moving right along. Okay, now you go to Alpha Predator, which is where you are. It's going to go through more interesting moves. Then you can continue to go to like the surge channel. And then what you will do is you will find a channel that kind of catches your eye. Like they're like, I like it here. For example, you might be in our free trading room and you might be looking at some of the windows that Barry has up. There's lots of different ways to do it. But the point being is you do not really need to work on setting stuff up. That's what I'm trying to say. It's all done for you.
So Dan, David's asking me a question about he's running 32-bit Windows, and I know that the latest versions that we've been building are 64-bit versions of the software. David, why don't you shoot me an email, brad@trade-ideas.com, and I'll take your question offline and make sure that we have a solution for you.
So Reese, every single stock has a stop and a profit target, correct, and it's calculated by our own internal logic, and it is based on the last print. So it's updated all the time as you pull the stock up. So one time during the day it could be here, another time it could be somewhere else as the stock moves. So yeah, every single stock, and the idea again is, like imagine golf, and Brad, by the way, I was talking about this with Matt Davia, with whom I was having a podcast today, and I said, and this sounded so good to me that I wanted to repeat it here. So Holly is kind of like your fundamentals of the golf swing. Are you aligned? How's your stance? Is anything out of whack? Like the way that she behaves and what you do here when you see the smart stop and the profit target, these are basically your fundamentals. Okay, it's to make sure that if you're into something, you're not exposing yourself to outsized risk. If you blow right through a stop once you get into something, well then be aware that the computer's telling you, hey, this is your area of flexibility. Below that, you might experience more turbulence, etc., etc. So these are the fundamentals, and with Trade Ideas, your fundamentals are embedded inside of the software. So it's like having your own teacher, your own guru inside the software. And when it comes, and that's for every single stock, Brad, again, if you can.
Yeah, it is. And also, Reese, with respect to how it's determined, it's not really determined on the stock price. It's determined on the volatility of the stock. How much has it moved today in relationship to its normal type of movement? What's its volatility? What's its relative volume? Those are the different factors that it takes into consideration when it determines what that smart stop should be.
Yeah. Did you like that, Brad? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and we will be building in an interface to switch it so that you can have an inverse view of it, if you will. If you're going short, it'll reverse it with the appropriate. That's not in there at this point.
But right now you can kind of like just flip it, and that's as relatively similar-ish. Yeah.
Relatively similar-ish.
Yeah, I mean it's not exactly the same, but it's similar. So one of the other things that Brad and I have been talking about, and again, this is more just technical in terms of us wanting to help you. Yeah, Brad, go to the that my like symbols now real quick, because I wanted to just touch base on something that you reminded me as I'm looking at the.
Well, let me show the users another way to get to it. Let me show them how they can open it up, and you can open up it from the top list right here. So if you go into open up a new top list. So you can do it from the channel. But right here, I've got a my liked symbols. You can just select that, load it, and hit OK. And that's another way to bring in that list.
Yeah. But I wanted to, again, point out to everyone, in case you don't notice that it says upgrade to version 4.213 right there. That's very important. This is a very new functionality, the hearting, the liking, and you will not see it unless you're on the very latest version of our beta. So again,
that's a great segue into this next piece of functionality that is only in that latest version, and that is the AI history. So right now, and for the last year and a half, we've been giving everybody kind of a real-time view of what's happening in the AI. But once that day is done, it's kind of, unless you made note of those symbols, unless you've hearted them, liked them, put them in a symbol list, done something, they're forgotten, and you won't be able to find them unless you happen to pull them up on a chart and see the annotation that we've got. But in the latest version that you can get on our site in the beta, if you right-click in one of the strategy trades window, you can go to history. And now we give you a couple quick options to get it live or yesterday, but then you can also bring in a time frame. And I'll just go for the last, say, 2 weeks. You can do it a couple different ways. I can find 2 weeks on the calendar. I can find 14 days here. This is taking today. So now I just hit OK. It's going to go back and query that database and give me all of those results. So I can sort it any way I want. And then I can go through and see exactly how did those stocks, how are they doing now? You know, what did they look like when we got into it? So that's another nice piece of functionality. And from here, you can do a lot of great things. If you wanted to, let's say, build a symbol list for the last week, you can just highlight those symbols, just like I'm doing right here, hit Control-C, drop them into a symbol list and manipulate a top list with it. Set up an alert window looking for stocks that happen to be making new highs on stronger than normal volume. So these are all the kinds of things you can do with this data now, which makes it really robust.
Brad, do me a favor. Randy was asking, excuse me.
What do you want to do, Dan?
The position and range. And I think it's a wonderful column. If you could just click on the position and range in that window and maybe expand it, what I want to talk about is, so this is a thesis of trade ideas where we kind of came up with this when we were young boys, just out in the field, first in the market. Sorry. We hated the way traditional technical indicators described the markets as overbought and oversold, etc. So we wanted to create a simple way for people to kind of be able to articulate what they want to do. And one of the best ways that we came up with that was what's called a position and range. So you can say in any window, you want to see a stock that's in a certain position of its range. So for example, Brad, if you can duplicate this window real quick, just duplicate it and say configure. And go to the Windows specific filters. And again, every one of these windows, and this is something else that of course we're showing, can be modified. So go to the window that says position and range and say minimum of 90. Hit OK. Ooh. So what Brad's doing, this is again a great example. So what Brad has just done is he has filtered his window of stocks that he likes to show him only the stocks that are in the upper 10 percentile of their daily trading range. So if you ever see a stock in this window, for example, Brad knows, then what's it doing? It is doing very well because it's within 10% of highs. This is one of the beautiful and most simplest ways in trade ideas that you can manipulate the data through just a number line concept, understanding like high is close to 100% and low is close to 0, and also understanding how negative numbers work. That's obviously something else. Like, for example, Brad, right click and go to configure and go to search and type in position yesterday. Okay, so position in previous day's range. Okay, so let's add a filter there.
You want me to show the column or just add a filter?
Well, we're going to do both.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to give people an understanding of what they can do. So now Brad and I had already created the list of stocks that we like that are today very strong and they're in the upper 10 percentile. But here, do you know what else we're going to do, Brad? We're going to say that, well, they've got to be above yesterday's high.
Well, that would be 100.
That would be 100. So let's take a look at what happens.
And if you didn't know that was 100, by the way, we give you so many tools right here. You know, you have examples. You have a histogram where you can, there's so many different tools to help you configure it.
The Matrix people, we're red pilling you.
And I already did add the column, position in previous day's range. That way we can see where it is. We know that they're all going to be over in this particular case.
So now you get the strong. So notice how we just, again, just reiterated the strong of the strong of the strong. And so the beauty is that now this kind of a setup, if you like this, if this is something that you have a feel for, right? Well, then Brad can have this window for himself at any point in time, and he knows that whenever he sees something in this window, it will have this certain look to it. It will be very strong today and will be above yesterday's high, which makes Brad feel confident that it's going to continue, hypothetically speaking. Brad, oh, you're making it into a strategy. Okay, see, there you go. Brad stole my idea, and now he's making it into a strategy of his own. See? It only took so little.
How's that?
Stop, thief.
So one thing I showed, but I didn't articulate to people is that, you know, while we have these graphical indicators right here, there's really a numerical value that's behind it. Just like because you're configuring it, right? You have a minimum and a maximum, and the values are 0 to 100. So these are what those graphical images represent right here. There's a number associated with it. And you get to that by going to Properties, Graphical Indicator.
Yep. The thing is that there's so much power under the hood. So much power under the hood. But over the last 3 years, we've been simplifying that power so as to get you to the ROSG. Now, Brad, do me a favor. Get rid of all of your custom windows, because we've shown you a lot of like cool stuff there, right? Now go to Alpha Predator, for example. And what you will see is a lot of those stocks are there, like ROSG. See, like stocks that Brad liked that were above yet, like that exhibited those behaviors. See, we've already created that stuff for you. I mean, so to me, that's one of the other things that we want to make sure you know. The volume today graphic icon, Brad, go ahead. Since it's kind of a multi-purpose indicator, why don't you, Brad, explain real quick for reasons.
Yeah. So the volume today, and I hate that question, but the volume today, it's giving us the percent of the normal volume that the stock has traded, and that's what that numerical value that you see right here. The cone is in relationship to, is it 1,000% and
Yes.
100%. And so we're giving you two different benchmarks based on the value. And I'll tell you what, if you don't know what it is, that was a terrible explanation, but you just go to Configure, Search, we'll type volume today, and like any of our filters, that's volume today percent. Just highlight it and go to Help. Takes you right to a web page that specifically talks about every single alert and every single filter in the data.
And by the way, that camera is a video that's spinning around in a question mark. So there's also tons of things that, you know, take you to the proper video help for it, so that there's a complete comprehensive way that you can get to a solution. Because we've been doing this for 17 years, 152 years exactly.
Combined.
In dog years. Brad, could you give Tom, we should probably link the latest beta up here for people.
Sure, let me do that.
James, we don't have the number of trades, but we have prints. And we are adding the number of trades soon. That is a filter that's been requested. It just hasn't, you know, again, we're at this point where there's a drawback to giving people feature requests, because the AI is doing so well. It's making so much money and doing so good in basis points that the more energy we take away from it, it's like our own opportunity cost. All right, what else can we answer? Probably, Brad, when do you anticipate a new beta, by the way? Brad might be on mute.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I was. The next beta is going to have the studies in it, so it's not going to be for about a week or two, a couple weeks, I'm anticipating.
Okay, which is fine. Yeah. Okay, Brad. So did we start today with the PowerPoint?
We did. This is where we left off on the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Big guy.
So, Reese, by the way, you can draw trend lines on charts already. Let's go down to. That's fine. Okay. So, guys, we're to the conclusion of our podcast, our Q&A webinar. We're drawing to the end. We want to thank everybody for coming. We do this every Wednesday to keep you up to date on the very latest features and let you speak to the COO, the CEO, and all the other O's and C's and every letter in the alphabet. We have a Friday podcast where I myself and Jamie Hodge, who's our Director of Client Education, kind of give you a different take on everything, slightly more philosophical, more out there, but also talk about, really important trends in the business. Let's go to the SaaS. Yep, this is how much our software costs, and we are raising prices starting in February, most likely. So there's a really big and important opportunity for all of you guys to be able to get on board right now, and you will be grandfathered into all of these prices. They're going up approximately 20% starting in February, and this is what they are right now: $99 and $888 for our standard product monthly and annually, and of course $188 and $1,888 for the AI. So all of this is going up, relatively speaking, as Brad is about to point to you. This is the price of a venti cafe latte, delicious. Want one right now, Brad? So we hope you take advantage of the fact that right now the prices are still current and that they will be grandfathered. We are very easy to get a hold of. Active on social media. Myself and Brad are always available for anyone to, so you are so fast. Always available for anyone to contact us. And again, we're easy to find. We are active on social media. We're just present. We're not hiding behind anyone. Our tech is real, and we are innovating faster than anything you've ever seen before. And also, we are at the dawn of this new technological big data revolution, of which we are in the forefront. A very exciting time to be on the Trade Ideas team, and we are bringing this innovation to you live at the speed of today. Thank you, everyone. Scott, thank you. Brad, thank you. And we will see you next week.